Ray, here's the preliminary information that I pulled up on your University Boulevard home. This is not really a market analysis in the sense that I haven't stepped foot or laid eyes upon your house. I'm sure that I would recognize it. I'm familiar with that road and the Cherry Crest restaurant, and I'm familiar with that road. I just can't picture your house right now. The first thing I do is I go to public records and I pull up the information that they have. I question whether it's accurate. And, one example here is the bathrooms. The public county says that you have 3 bathrooms, but you told me you have 2. So I think the best thing to do as far as to get the most accurate information is to pull up one of those appraisals that you've had done in the past. An appraiser will walk the property, very detailed measurements and calculations, and give a better, more accurate numbers for the home. So here's the numbers I'm going off of. This is with Arapahoe County. At any time, you can pause the video and take a closer look at what's on the screen. So that's the information that I'm using to look for comps. I'm also looking in a very specific geographic area. I'm staying south of Orchard. Obviously, there's going to be more lot sizes that compare to your house or to your lot up there. The problem is that the houses north of Orchard don't compare to your house. The lot sizes are bigger. The house sizes are also much larger. But I was able to come up with 4 good comps for your house. Because the market supply is very low, I didn't use really detailed parameters to limit the number of houses that were going to come up as comps. I looked as far back as 6 months, and I looked at ranch-style houses in that map area that I showed you, and I want to see houses that only have 2 bedrooms on the main floor and are above grade within this square footage. And so when I did that, I came up with these 4 results. And they're pretty good comps. And what I do is I then take this information, import it into my own spreadsheet so that I can better organize the information. So here's the 4 comps, and here's their averages. And here's your house on University and how it compares. So your house is bigger above grade and is bigger overall to a certain degree, 230 square feet larger overall, but a little bit bigger. It's actually the biggest of the 4 above grade. The thing is, I'm saying that it doesn't have a finished basement. This basement finish, I have 0 there, and I know that that's not accurate because of public records. That they say that you don't have a basement finish, and that's probably because a permit wasn't pulled when the basement finish was done. That's not an issue as far as the permit not being pulled. It's very common. I just need to visit your house, take a look at it, and see if the finish in the basement is comparable to the finish upstairs. I know we talked earlier, you don't have egress windows in there. I gave you credit for having 3 bedrooms, when in actuality, based on our conversation, I think you technically have 2 bedrooms, just the upstairs, and there's no egress windows in the basement bedrooms. So in order to be called a basement, or a bedroom, it has to have 2 ways to get out. If there's a fire that's blocking you from leaving the door, then you need to have a second option, which would be one of those egress windows that is of a certain dimension and a certain distance off the floor. So one of those culvert windows. And it also has to have two ways to egress, and it has to have a closet to officially be qualified as a bedroom. So here's the finished square foot on average. Again, yours is a little lower because we're not counting anything in your basement. So that would be something that I'd have to look at, maybe an appraisal that has been done in the past to come up with the actual measured square footage that the appraiser was using when they did one of your refinances or whatever. The lot size, that's the kicker right there. Your lot is about 4 times larger than any of these other lots, a good 3 times larger for sure on any of them. And the other thing that's important here is the days in the MLS. On average, these last 4 houses that were comparable to yours in the geographic area were on the market for 3 days. Typically, they go on the market on a Friday, show it for the weekend, look at all the contracts on Monday, and negotiate out to be under contract with one of the offers. That's just the way the scenario goes. So on average, these houses sold for $726, and I will send you a separate email where you can look in detail at all 4 of these comps. So when you get the email, you can take a look at the pictures. Let's just do the first 2 most expensive ones to compare how they compare to your house. So we're just going to look at the finishes. This one has a detached 2-car garage, and I know your garage is larger than that. This is a mid-century modern house that's been fully remodeled. And so I think I've looked at your house in so many different ways, and I think that because of market conditions, the best way to look at the house at this point is obviously, come up with a number, but then compare and say, okay, at $800,000 for an example, how does your house compare to anything else that is available? And we could even go outside of that envelope, maybe to anything that's available in Littleton High School attendance area. If somebody wants to go to Littleton High School, and that's a much larger area than I pulled up to get these comps, and they were willing to spend $800,000, how does your house fit into that mix? And so obviously this house is very freshly remodeled, and you'll be able to look. So here's a good example of what's going on in the market. Is they were asking $850, and in a matter of 2 days they were under contract and closed at $910. So $60,000 over asking price in 2 days. And so this has all of the statistics on the house as far as square footage above ground. It's a ranch, but it's smaller than yours, and there's just a lot of information. And then the verbiage here, these public remarks, that's realtor talk. So it's kind of blowing up the description. And then let's take it one more house, this one on Adams, and it sold for $800. Let's take a look at these larger pictures. Again, a very modern finish on the inside. Again, if I'm going too quickly, you can pause it. A really neat sunroom there. Obviously, the yard isn't what yours is, but everything on the interior is pretty amazing. Pretty average on the outside. Nothing compared to the inside. But that one sold for $800. So the kicker for your house, obviously, is going to be the lot size. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. You know, is there a possibility that it could be subdivided? Could there be a flag lot where there's a long entrance that comes off of University? I don't know if the city or county is going to allow any more entrances off of University, but maybe you've looked into that and, you know, in the past considered maybe subdividing that. I don't know if it'd be allowed, what the expenses would be, but that would probably be something that would come up to some buyers' eyes, would be, gosh, could we, you know, end up with two houses here because it's such a large lot. Ideally, I'd like to come take a look at your house so that I'm not guessing or making assumptions on how it compares to these houses. But I would guess that it probably doesn't have quite the finishes that at least those last two had. And, you know, here's a really nice size backyard, but still it doesn't compare to yours. You know, this house is nice. It's got popcorn ceiling. Kind of dated, some of the stuff, but I'm sure it's pretty nice on the inside. It's been remodeled at some point, but the remodel is old, and so it's not getting that $800 to $900,000 price point. So we're comparing the houses right now. The lot is a totally different story. This one looks nice, but it's not what those other two were. Look at that. They needed to thin things down a little, but with this market, people are willing to overlook just about anything. So this one was a third or less than those other two, $200,000 to $300,000 less, because it didn't have the finishes. And then the next home is this one on Southwood. And again, it isn't quite as deluxe as those first two. So we have two that are very new, modern remodels, and then we have two that are a little bit more dated remodels. You know, they're all nice homes, but wallpaper. I think those first two were actually even staged, not necessarily lived in, but they had staging furniture. So the basement here is very dated, and it has drop ceiling in the basement. I'll send these to you, and you can take a closer look. But this one is it's sold right at $600. So again, if you look at this one, it was $570. It sold for $595, $25,000 more. This other one, if we look, every one of them, look at that one. They were asking 582, and they sold it for 600, so $18,500 more. And this other one here, they were asking 750. They sold it for 8. So that's the way the market is. This is a wonderful time for you to sell this house, just because it is such a enigma with that huge lot, and it's just going to be very appealing to a lot of people to have that kind of lot. So some people will overlook a lot of things just to get a house in this market, but to have a lot like that, it's going to be a very popular house. So the school district is awesome. I need to take a closer look at the house, but right now what I'm thinking, based on what you've told me, based on my research, I need to see the finishes. That big garage is going to be awesome. Your available RV parking is awesome. I'm wondering if you've ever looked into having another building built back there. Maybe not even I'm not even talking about a subdivision where you subdivide and pull off another lot. Even if you were to build a accessory dwelling unit, which could be a huge garage with an apartment above or something like that. I'm wondering if you've ever looked into that, and if that is even a possibility that could be used in the marketing. A barn dominium, where somebody that's into collecting cars and maybe has some kids that they want to put in an apartment, or having a income generating property. There's just so many really interesting possibilities with a lot that size, and I'm wondering if you've done any investigation into any of those potential possibilities. So I do have some time this coming Monday evening or Tuesday during the day. If we could make an arrangement where I could come and take a look at your house, that would allow me to be even more accurate and to meet you. We were talking about Montrose, and here's an example. This is a house that I bought in Montrose, and I'm looking at subdividing this section right here, or at least putting an accessory dwelling unit, which would be a garage. There's an alley back there, and putting a garage with an apartment attached. And so I'm actually going through the process and designing and submitting to the city about Montrose. So I do, like I told you before, I am a member of the Denver Metro MLS and the Kren MLS, which is the Western Slope MLS, because I do real estate in both of those areas. I also own another lot in the city that's actually 2 city lots together in Montrose, and then we just recently acquired a 10-acre out of town lot. But I love Montrose. If you end up looking in that area, I'd love to help you do that also. And just briefly, in Montrose, it's all about water. Even this house right here has 2 water taps. It has one water tap for the house itself, and then it has a second water tap. It's really kind of weird to me. I'm used to what's going on in the Denver metro area. It has a second one just for irrigation, and the same with the 10-acre lot that we have. It has an irrigation ditch water, and the lots that have water are much more valuable and useful than the lots without water in Montrose. So anyway, I would love to meet you, and like I said, Monday evening or Tuesday during the day, I do have time that I could come down and take a closer look at your house.